So the ADL goes out and attacks Steam. And before anyone even reads the articles, they know that the ADL is being disingenuous and manipulative. And how do people know this? Well, they know because almost everyone uses Steam. And everyone knows that Steam is not an anti-Semitic platform. In fact, you're likely to find more anti-Semitism at a liberal campus or on Twitch than it is to find any anti-Semitism on Steam. People go on Steam to play video games. They don't go on Steam to talk politics. They don't go on Steam in order to have political debates. They go on Steam in order to play video games. Now, of course, out of 100 million of people, there will be cases where you may have someone that's anti-Semitic. But overall, the platform is not. And how did the ADL manage to find anti-Semitism? I mean, they don't want to get sued, right? And the answer is that they water down the definitions. What they understand by anti-Semitism is Pepe the Frog. So if you go on Steam and you post a Pepe, that is one instance of anti-Semitism. And when you look at the chart and, you don't just read the newspapers, but you actually look at what the ADL published, half of the anti-Semitism they found are Pepes. And then you realize that they also take jokes and metaphors as anti-Semitism. So, for instance, South Park would be anti-Semitic. If someone uses shock humor, like if someone posts a swastika just to shock people, like they're not anti-Semitic. They don't hate Jewish people. They just want to see a reaction. That's anti-Semitism. If someone uses the word shekels, it's like, how much did this game cost? 50 shekels. That's anti-Semitic, right? So, like, even jokes, any type of banter, if it's not done against white people and it's done against Jewish people, then it's anti-Semitic. If banter is done against white people, it's fine. If it's done against black people, it's racist. Like, we know how the identity politics game works because it's very profitable. A lot of people have a vested interest for this to keep going because if it stops, then how do you get donations? How do you get funding? How do you get control? And the reality is that when you look at Steam, it's got 100 million users. They say that they found 2 million cases of anti-Semitism. We're going to dismiss the Pepes out of hand, so there's like 1 million cases left. And out of those 1 million cases, surely there's quite a bunch that are just jokes and shock humor and stuff like that. So you end up with a platform that has like less than 1%. You got like 0 point some percent of anti-Semitism. And this is now being discussed in the Senate. Like you also notice the coordination of it. I already made a video where I showed that immediately, the next day after the ADL published the report, almost all of the media writes articles about it with the exact same takes. Like no one actually reads the report. No one actually sees, well, hold on a little bit. Why are Pepes here? Like, no one does that. And by the way, in the ADL report itself, they actually say that some people using Pepe aren't bigoted and aren't going to become bigoted. So it's contradictory. It's almost like they wanted to find anti-Semitism. It's almost like they wanted to target Steam specifically so that they find it. In fact, like if they were to go on Steam and found no anti-Semitism, I bet they would be extremely devastated by it. In fact, they would probably have to create new categories like Pepe. They would probably go for OK sign or middle glasses or anything like that in order to justify why it is. Like, there was no way that they would have looked at Steam and not found something. So what is the purpose of it? Well, here is the purpose of it, right? Like, the media writes articles, they create a moral panic, and this is why it's a good thing that more and more people tune out from the media and they get very few viewers so that their prestige is going away. And now you have senators, Democrats, who, for the last couple of years, they were vested in censoring the internet. They were vested in creating more censorship, more terms of service, in using private companies to censor more. And it just so happens that, they're concerned about this ADL report and they want Gabe to censor. So, as you can see here, this is what went to Gabe from Valve. And it's like, I brought to you today regarding hate and extremism that has recently been identified on your gaming digital distribution and social media network Steam. Recently, the ADL releases a report where the ADL identified over 1 million unique users' accounts and nearly 100,000 users created. The ADL has no authority in decreeing what is anti-Semitic, right? Like, they're not a judicial organization. They're not associated with the law. They do not have the capability. Like, they're just pretty much like private citizens declaring for themselves what anti-Semitism is and convincing the public that they have the, the legal standing to do so. right? This is not like a court order declare that Steam is an extremist platform. No, it's like some average citizens that created an NGO declared it's a hateful platform. And the thing is, like, most people know it's not, because most people use Steam. I bet that if this senator has a son, I bet he uses Steam. And I bet he can't find any case of anti-Semitism on the platform. So anyway, 2 years later, it appears that Valve has continued to have a hands-off type approach. In other words, pretty much like how the entire internet was before 2016. They don't have content moderation that favors allowing some users to engage in sustained bouts of disturbing and violent rhetoric. Well, if that's the case, isn't it illegal? And if it's illegal, shouldn't you arrest them? Like, if you have people that are engaging in violent rhetoric that like incites people to violence, even in the United States with the First Amendment, inciting people to violence is illegal, it's a crime. Shouldn't it be the job of you, the politician, to make sure that the authorities function? I'm just asking, like, why is it Gabe's job to do police work for you? My concern is elevated on the fact that Steam is the largest single online gaming digital distribution or social network platform in the world with over 100 million users. And again, like 100 million users, only 1 million cases of reports, right? So basically what this means is that, let's say every single user posted a Pepe from 1 million, that's like less than 1%. Less than 1% of case, and they get involved in this. I mean, like what would they call a success? You know, like if I had the city, and in that city you only have like 1% crime, and like 99% of people do not commit crime, I would call it a success, wouldn't you? Like, how low do they want the anti-Semitism to go? Because it's never going to be zero. Like, let's be honest, when you talk about groups of people that are this large, bringing it to zero is impossible, and I'm willing to bet that you have more anti-Semitism on Twitch, as I said before, than you have on Steam. So, this is immediately, like, they have a list of demands, right? Like, they're not asking, like, how does Steam plead? Like, do you plead innocence? Like, what is your evidence that this is not happening? Like, no, they want changes. Because the simple accusation from the ADL is proof. This is how Democrat politicians think, by the way. Like, this is how a just society is ran, where some citizens get to accuse you of something, and then you can't defend yourself. In fact, like, they don't even care what your explanation is. Like, they only want to know, like, okay, you've been accused of this. What should the consequences be? So what commitments will Steam make to ensure that it has meaningfully curbed white supremacist, anti-Semitic, terroristic, Nazi, homophobia, transphobia, misogynist, hateful content? Notice how, like, disparaging talks against white men doesn't seem to be in this list? Because I seen that on Steam, to be honest. Like, I haven't seen this shit. I haven't seen any of this, but I have seen, like, people attacking others using identity politics. That I have seen. And apparently it's not included in the list of protected characters. Nor should it be, because if someone does that, I just mute them. I just block them. What transparency measures does Valve plan to implement to inform users and public about content moderation access related to extremist behavior that could be reasonably interpreted as endorsing extremist thought and belief? I'm actually curious if Free Palestine, like, falls in this, because my question would be, like, what's that the Democrat Party does in order to make sure that their supporters aren't promoting extremist rhetoric? Because based on the ADL, right, like, Free Palestine is. So what is the Democrat Party doing in order to make sure that there's transparency and moderation when it comes to their supporters that are spewing this hateful rhetoric? How frequently does Valve evaluate its content moderation practices related to extremism? How frequently do these evaluation results in changes, updates, or other modifications? Now here's the thing, right? Like, Valve, as an American-based company, I think they're American-based, right? They can say, fuck off, free speech. We don't fucking care. But the reality is that Valve also operates in the European Union, and the European Union has laws against these things. So this is what they're banking on. They can't have Gabe just go on and say, well, we're not going to do anything because that will affect his European market. So basically, they're accusing Gabe, and they already plan as if he is guilty and do not allow him a chance to defend himself. They're also using the leverage of the media and the ADL in order to do it. I do think, like, all of this is coming from the Democrats that want more control. Like, anyone that was following the narrative, you notice that first they wanted social media to have terms of service, and now they want gaming platforms. They want Ubisoft, they want EA, they want Blizzard, they want Steam to also have terms of service. And the terms of service is not to fight against anti-Semitism and shit. The terms of service is to put people that are friendly with the Democrat ideology in control of moderation so that they can own the chuds, so that they can make people understand that if you go online, only left-leaning ideology is acceptable. So that if you are a violator, if you go like Trump 2024, then they have a reason to ban you. And if they ban you, you lose your game library. This is what it's about. It's about control. It's not about anti-Semitism. It's not about, that Steam is a hateful platform, because it's not. And everyone knows it. And I hope that these people don't get to win. Let me know what you think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.